Welcome to the Breaking Chains podcast, episode 2, the law of attraction and life's surprises.
Right. The law of attraction. We've all heard this one, right?
Yeah.
The Secret. Isn't that what The Secret was about? That book? The Secret.
Law of attraction.
And you could take this super big, right? Like you get super deep in the law of attraction, but we'll just try to layman's terms it the best we can. Can I use that as a verb?
So what is the law of attraction to you?
To me, I get to answer first today. So the law of attraction is where focus goes, energy flows. That's really all it is. It's that simple to me.
I was actually going to use those same exact
I bet you were.
words.
So, and the thing about law of attraction, right? Like I have very Christian friends, like amazing friends. I have, people in my life that think that manifesting is something like witchcraft and stuff. Like, oh, you can't do, you're trying to take God's ability away. Like you don't manifest, like God does whatever. So you can get spiritual here too. But when you think about where your focus goes, you could actually go into metaphysics, right? Back to Joe Dispenza. Do I bring him up on every episode?
Every episode.
When you think about, he talks about an atom. Is it an atom? And you look at the protons and neurons. A particle. Protons and neutrons. Neurons. Protons and neutrons. I haven't taken science in a long time, and I haven't read his book in a long time. Electrons. When you think of electrons, right? Or whatever, right, you look at all the particles, and you see that they're chaotic. They're bouncing up. They appear, they disappear. All of them are disappearing and reappearing.
Infinite possibilities.
Right, they're all disappearing and reappearing when it's looked at closely, when they magnify it and they look at it. They disappear and they appear. But there is a thing that happens. Words are just slipping my mind. It's pregnancy brain. There's a thing that happens, a phenomenon that happens, that when you focus on just one of those particles, one electron, it's going to stay present.
The observer effect.
The observer effect. It's not going to disappear.
Yes.
Right? So you now get to watch that continue on until you stop looking at it. Then you don't know if it disappeared, right? Because your focus left it. So this is that is life compounded, right? That we're just a bunch of particles. That's all we are. We're a bunch of atoms put together. We're all made of the same stuff. This table is made of the same stuff as us, and we synchronize ourselves in a different way. Each item in the world, right? We're all the same.
So the same underlying
components,
substance.
Right? When you think of a diamond and coal, same substance, right? Carbon.
Yeah.
They're both made of the same exact thing. They manifest in different ways.
Gotcha.
Okay. So now when we think about things in life, when we think about the law of attraction, it's really just what you're focusing on. What are you focusing on? What is your intention? Intention is complete focus and making it into a realization.
So
right?
potentially it could be called the law of attention.
The law of attention.
Instead of the law of attraction.
The law of attention. That's beautiful. Can we
coin that?
Yeah. It's probably already a thing. So what do we want to say about the law of attraction? Why is it so in our podcast that we speak about a holistic lifestyle where we speak about fitness, health, family, community, and we want to bring all that together under one umbrella? Why are we talking about the law of attraction? What does it have to do with anything? Because it has to do with everything.
Everything.
Right.
Well, you said it. You said, where focus goes, energy flows. So if you're not focused on your health, then the energy is not going to flow there, right?
But what do most people do when they're focused on their health? What do they actually do? Instead of focusing on health, they focus on?
They're focused on where they're at.
Or sickness.
True.
Trying so hard to not be sick.
Correct.
you're actually focused on sickness. You're focused on illness. We have a society set up for us in the Western medical society, right? We're set up to fail.
Correct.
We're set up to focus so strongly on being afraid of being sick,
Agreed.
being afraid of being overweight, being afraid of dying in some fatal way.
It's
right?
almost like it's a, and I've said this before, it's almost like it's a sick care system. They
Right.
call it health care, but it's sick care. Because bottom line is, it's much more profitable for the medical establishment, pharmaceutical companies, and hey, I'm not saying that
There's a place
there's a place for it all.
Space for everything.
But when you have 80% of Americans on a pill every day, a prescribed pill every day, something's not right. And what would be the point in the pharmaceutical industry to some degree? What would be the
heal
point
you.
of making people healthy?
Right.
Where is the profits in that?
And then when we think about these pills, when we think about these synthetic substances that mimic nature,
Yes.
right? Things, we recognize that a lot of these medical fixes, words are just escaping me today, please forgive me, medical fixes, for lack of a better word, are found in nature. But what do? What does the healthcare system tell you? The nature stuff doesn't work. Like the natural remedies, that's woo-woo, that's BS, right? That doesn't work. It's debunked. Anytime you go to Google and try to look for a natural remedy, 99.9% of the time,
Fact check.
it's going to be fact checked and say it's a myth that this works. Like there has been no studies that prove this, when in fact, there are massive amounts of studies, and the people that pay for those top spots in Google get those spots to tell you that they've been debunked. And I'll give you an example of my life. Kobe, my son, my 4-year-old son, when he was about 3, he's never had an ear infection in his life, but he got slammed like back to back. You remember that? With like 4 illnesses. Like he had a stomach, he had a cold, he had like croup, he had all the kids stuff. And then he got a stomach virus and a double ear infection. The reason why I took him to the doctor, usually like just, I try to at-home remedies. There's not much doctors can do for viruses anyway. So I took him to the doctor. Doctor said to me, he has a double ear infection. He needs to be on antibiotic stat. And I said, are you sure there's nothing else I can try to do before I put antibiotics in his system? His gut's obviously effed up. He's been throwing up for 3 days and has diarrhea. The last thing I want to do is destroy his microbiome again. And yes, I do think it's important to treat something like an ear infection because, pus, it could explode, stuff could happen, right? So I'm not negligent. My kid's at the doctor, okay? But he's like, he needs to be on antibiotics. And I call Chris, and I'm like, he wants on antibiotics. I was like, I don't trust it. I think there's a way. I think my gut is telling me, and I listen to my gut, especially when it comes to caring for my children, because who is more connected to your child than the mother, right? You have a Wi-Fi connection to your child. And I said, there has to be a way. So I go to my little crunchy moms. I'm one of those internet moms, right? I'm going to crowdsource before I do something crazy. I filled the prescription. I made you pick it up. Filled the prescription. I still didn't feel good about giving him antibiotics at that time. I didn't think it was like life or death where the kid needed antibiotics. And I got a bunch of women that told me to buy garlic mullein. And some said, make your own garlic. I don't trust myself to make medicine yet. I'm not in that space. I'm not that hippie yet. So I had you buy the garlic mullein from the drugstore, from Vitamin Shop. And we put it in his ears 2 times that night. He woke up completely cleared.
Yeah.
Garlic mullein. He had no sign of an ear infection by the morning time, when the doctor was basically telling me I'd be negligent to not give him the antibiotics. This is just one. And if you go Google garlic mullein for ear infections, It's debunked. There's no way this can cure crazy moms shoving garlic into kids' ears. Don't do this, right? It makes people seem crazy when they try to go the holistic route. So it's a wild, wild west world out here where we can even get shunned for trying to do what's best for our children because intuitively I know giving him antibiotics will destroy his gut more. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, how can I actually take care of his whole body, his whole system, and not panic over an ear infection and find a better way where I can help him, but also take care of him, right? So that was an example of like how the medical system is cool. The antibiotics probably would have taken care of the ear infection, but also there's another stat that like most ear infections clear up on themselves anyway. Yeah. You don't need, we're all over antibiotic. If you were born in like 1980 later.
Pretty much my whole childhood, antibiotics nonstop, bronchitis, eczema, massive amounts of inflammation. And everything was the Z-Pak or amoxicillin.
Now, why? Why were you on all that stuff?
Well, when I was sick or, I had asthma, when I was sick, that's just, my mom took me to the doctor and that's what the doctor gave.
Why were you sick all the time?
Yeah, I don't know.
You do know.
I know? Oh, because of my allergies?
Chronic allergies.
Yeah, I know that now.
You were chronically inflamed.
I didn't know that then.
As a child,
my parents didn't know that.
Christopher was allergic to eggs, milk, shellfish, the world outside the grass.
Everything.
And instead of getting to the root cause and like ridding, like allergies and clearing your system, you were just shoved Benadryl like it was candy, like it was a vitamin.
Benadryl, cortisone creams, prednisone, obviously inhalers,
antibiotics, all destroying your system.
All, yeah.
So the whole purpose of all of these stories, though, back to the law of attraction.
Well, hold on a sec. Just one more point on that.
Go ahead.
And that's that. Sometimes all it takes is to just ask a question. To just question.
It's scary sometimes.
Just to question. You don't need to know the answer. But if you, for a moment, can just question, does this feel right? Does this seem right? And I know that this person is a professional and an expert at what they do. But when it comes to your body or your life in general, you should always ask questions, because maybe that person is just regurgitating back to you what they learned and what they were taught, and maybe don't have the direct experience that you're going through right now. So like, I feel like, and it's nothing against my mom, but to ask questions.
Right.
It wasn't until, and then for even myself, at some point I had to take responsibility for my own health. And I had to ask myself, I had to ask myself those questions like, man, what is this eczema? Wait, these cortisone creams that I'm taking, the Benadryl every day, the prednisone all the time, this doesn't seem right. This can't be life.
And that was kind of like a dark place, right? That point of discomfort in your own skin that made you start asking more questions, right?
The
pain, suffering. And we've had an episode about this back in season 1 about going through pain and suffering and bringing us to a place of reaching that point where we have to ask a question, where we have to be like, all right, what else is there?
Of course.
So from that, right, it also led you to ask more questions, and it's always about learning more. It's about expanding, right? Our season is about expanding. So you don't ever stop. There's never a point in time where I think I know it all.
Correct.
In fact, the more I learn, the more infinite the universe gets. And I'm like, holy crap, it's just getting crazier out here, right?
Never stops.
And it's like, you have to be careful from diving down the rabbit hole, because when you go down there, it never ends. The rabbit hole just gets deeper. And so you have to toggle between asking questions, being aware, being self-aware, and living here in the three-dimensional world.
And really in the present moment.
In present moment.
Right? In the present moment.
Dealing with what is.
Because typically fear is going to come from the past or going to come from the
ways,
future, right?
Right? Anxiety of the future, fear of the past.
Correct. So if you're here right now, you can actually face
whatever
current moment right now and deal with it.
And pull from the infinite nothingness.
Correct.
Right? So we're always learning. So once we had a son, there's even more to learn, right? To vaccinate, to not vaccinate, to circumcise, to not circumcise. Why? What are the pros and cons? What are the questions, right? And when you start asking more questions, you start to question why things have been done the way they've been done.
Correct.
And when you start to question why have things been done the way they've been done, you're questioning people's entire belief systems.
Yes.
And that is why it's a scare. Like I said, it's scary to ask questions sometimes because you're going to feel like a lot of backlash. This is somebody's whole belief system set up here. It's a brick wall. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to knock that brick wall down. And they're standing in front of it like, no, you can't knock my wall down. This is a really strong wall. In reality, the house is made out of sticks, right? You blow it down because it's rooted. It's not rooted on any real foundation.
In reality, it's almost like our beliefs in it are the only thing
That makes it real.
that keep it going.
Real. Yeah. So all of this, to go back to the law of attraction, this is not to blame, right? Like the law of attraction is not like what? So I attracted a childhood of eczema and suffering, right? Is that it? Is that what we're talking about? Is that you've attracted that? What you reap is what you sow in life, right? Like
Yeah.
you were born and you asked for it. Sorry, law of attraction. No, that's also not what the law of attraction is. But once you become enlightened just a little bit and you start to ask those questions and you are aware that you're aware, boom. That's when the work kicks in to recognize the power of your thoughts and the power of what you're focusing on.
Correct. So we talked about law of attraction and what it means. I wanted to give another example about the law of attention, right? And that was like you just bought a new car and all of a sudden you get your new car and you're like, I haven't seen this car anywhere. I'm going with this. And then all of a sudden, as soon as you buy your new car, you start driving and you see that car everywhere. You're like, oh my God, everybody has this car.
That has a name. Tyler, do you know the name of that?
Reticular activating system is what it's called. And it's now that you have put focus on this thing that you purchased, now it's personalized to you. There's a lot of, because it's personalized to you, there's now an extreme amount of energy associated with it, almost like an attachment to it. And therefore you now see it everywhere. So my question is there kind of a place, and this is to you actually.
That's also like, if you think about everything that's in the world right
everything.
now, right? Like,
but if you think about this, is it saying that like, everything is already here right now if you can just focus on the right things.
So what does the Bible say? I'm not good at calling out verses and scriptures, but it is done.
It is done.
Right? Like all that is here. All that was is here. All that will be is here. It is done. It's finished. And it's all been created. And my best friend actually just sent me a video of Billy Carson, like talking about the infinite universes, right?
Yeah.
Being like stacked on top of each other. And he's like, or no, there's like dimensions, or like 11 dimensions, and who knows? And they've got this microscope and they can like look into, or tell us they can look into like billions of years ago. I don't know. It was just like one of those things where you're like, mind blown.
Too much.
It's so much because it's so big. But when you think about everything, when you start becoming aware, when you think about that attention and you think about anything that is possible, you think about all the infinite possibilities. Whatever you focus on for your future to be is going to be your reality. Think about what your parents wanted for you, right? I want you to go to college. I want you to get a job. I want you to do this. I want you to do this. And when we follow that path, because it was their vision, and we realize like something's not lining up, and we start like,
well, they planted their vision in us, and then we accepted their vision as ours.
Right. And then you start seeing it. But then if you have an alignment, like this doesn't feel right. Like college doesn't feel like it's for me. And you start going against what you think you have to do. So you still have that vision. So you're actually working against yourself now because you still think, oh, I have to do this. I have to do this because this is what's supposed to be done. But it doesn't feel right. You're like working. It's like you're fighting to get your soul out of your body, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a fight. It's a struggle. That's why like depression happens. That's why there's a lot of anxiety going on. I would say this is my personal, not professional opinion, because we're fighting against our own reality because we've created this reality of what must be, the law of attention, and we're not focusing on what we actually desire, what we want in life. And we get so scared of all the things we thought we had to do, right? Like I have to work
in order
so
for
hard.
what reason?
In order for it to come to manifest.
Or in order for other people to
Approve.
love us, give us approval.
That's also a story.
It is a story.
If I don't do this, then this person will think this of me. When that's usually never going to happen. Like no matter what you do, you might get some backlash, but those are your own thoughts of what other people are thinking of you.
But you're able to see that now.
Right. It takes
And then
a lot of work.
I think it's important.
It takes a lot of work.
It's not like it's that simple. It's not like this is what you're doing, change it. It's typically an individual becoming aware that they are conditioned that way and to change that. Once they do that, then they're able to see the massive like power in the law of attraction.
Or the power in themselves.
Correct.
The power is not in the law of attraction itself. It's the law.
Yeah.
It's the law of the universe. It's the law of creation, right? Where focus goes, energy flows. You focus and things start to happen. Just think about anything you've ever put your mind to, right? Anything you've ever put your mind to. If you really wanted it, it happened. If you didn't really want it, or if you didn't give it your 100, or it was kind of a wash, it may or may not happen, because that's a coin toss, right? But like, think about something you knew you wanted in life. What about you? Like, is there anything that you were like, dead, like this is going to happen, and it didn't happen?
Didn't?
Right. Other than winning the lottery. Because that's
I never really focused too much on that. Didn't.
We don't have much time, so don't think too quick. I mean, don't think too slow.
Anything that I really focused on?
Yeah. You wanted the girl of your dreams. Oh, look at what you got.
Family.
Right? I've always wanted children.
Children.
But it's not even to like go bragging about everything you have. It's like when you really focus on something, at any time that I thought I wanted something and I go back and I'm like, did I really give that my all? Did I really want that? Because I didn't really act like I did at the time. I might have said it. So you might say you want something. Think about all the people in our industry who say, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight. And they go back home and they do the same stuff they were doing. If they really wanted to, if their hearts desired it, they would have changed habits.
Yeah.
Now, is it harder than I just say? Yes, of course it is. There's a work to be done. But when you want something, you will work for it. Now, we brought up surprises in the beginning and the law of attraction because sometimes life surprises, like something that just happens out of nowhere or seemingly happens out of nowhere, right? Like, oh God, why did this happen to me last week? I backed up into somebody. That was the car crash I was talking about. I backed into this. I literally I've never done this in my life. 15 years of driving. Never hit somebody like that. And what happened before that? I was pissed off at Chris. He was working again on a weekend. He locked my keys in my car because he thought he was doing me a favor by locking my car when I never lock my car, and I always leave my keys in the car. And he went all the way to Springfield, an hour away from home, and I'm like, and I was ready to go to a party with the kids, a birthday party. And I'm like, you just locked the keys in my car. I'm pissed. I'm going to do whatever it takes to just do what I need, right? I'm going to order an Uber. I'm going to like get out of this house. I'm just doing things. I'm calling AAA. He's like, I'm coming home. I'm just in my feelings, right? Like I am just like, this little boy in my belly is just giving me this testosterone. Just like, grrr, I'm going to take control. And he gets home. He's all calm. I'm even more pissed because he's not coming to the birthday party with me. And get in the car with the kids and like, And I'm going to pretend to not be angry. I'm still going to give him a kiss goodbye. Goodbye.
She was angry, though. She was angry. I felt it. And I was like, you know what? Just give her space. I was like, just give her space.
Anger in my body.
And be calm.
I went to Target, which is another controversial issue right now, right? Went to Target, got a birthday gift, got back in my car. I thought I was good. I thought I'm cool. You know, I left the house. I'm cool. Right when I pulled out, I hit somebody. Now, all day, what was I focused on? I was focused on attack mode. I was focused on being angry. I was focused on being mad at somebody. I was holding this in my body, and your vehicle is an extension of you. So if you feel like you want to hit somebody, if you feel like you want to harm somebody, whether that violence is energetic or physical, right? It's going to manifest.
So you wanted to hit me?
No. Energetically, maybe, yes. Energetically, like hit your soul, right? You know, that's how I get you. I'm not a very physically violent person.
I mean, it makes sense, right? You wanted to hit me. I didn't give in to your attitude.
So it went somewhere else.
And then you had to hit somebody
else. It was an
else.
outlet,
Okay.
right? Now, did I want to hit the guy outwardly? Will I say like I really wanted to get in a car crash? No, right? Like who wants to be 100% at fault, right? Maybe get hit, get a new car, but actually hit somebody? Never. So it was really hard for me. Had to calm down. I got yelled at by the kid's mom. Like, dude, I hit you. Like, why are you yelling at me? But so that is all to say about like life surprises. Like, why me, right? I could have thrown my hands up in the air like, oh, poor me, and spiral down, which I kind of did. But I had to reel it back in and recognize, like, first of all, admit where my energy was to attract this event. Like, it was not out of nowhere. It was not like, wow, this just happened and I can't believe it. I could believe it because of where my energy was, right? Where I was mentally, whether it was appropriate to be mad at Chris or not, it only affects me. That's my energy that I'm harnessing, and I get to control it. And that is the law of attraction, that no matter what external input is coming in, right? It's my job of what I give out and how I redirect energy.
And so that's how your level of awareness helps harness the law of attraction. Because
Right.
if you're not aware of your outburst, or you're not even aware that you're actually in a really good place, like magnetizing things to you.
Right.
I think
That's another surprise. Like, right, you actually do hit the lottery.
Yeah.
Was
like,
it a coincidence?
It's not always on the bad. Like to me, the law of attraction is about where your energy is at.
Yeah.
It's like, where are you? Are you an angry person? Are you a victim? Because those are you stressed, right? They bring all lower
So what's
frequencies.
the first thing somebody can do? Like, they're like, all right, how do I implement the law of attraction? Like, how do I do it? How do I attract the law?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I think the first thing to do is to look at yourself
recognize where you're at.
and recognize where you're at. And no matter if it's at the top of the wave or the bottom of the wave, you accept it. The moment you accept, you can change. The moment you don't accept, you can't change until you accept.
Right. If you want to play victim.
Right? Because that's being in the present
Right.
moment. If you're present right now, you're like, wow, I am so angry right now. And I'm accepting this. Now that I understand and I'm aware that I'm angry, I can then be like, okay, let me let this go. But if I can't see my actions within this anger, then it's going to continue to go.
It's just going to be a storm.
And then that's my frequency. That's my level. That's my radio station. So what is the external world going to bring me?
That's the signal that's being tuned out, right? It's just like a radio. That is good. And that's used very often in these books. A radio. What are you dialing into, right? You have to go to a certain station, certain signal to hear something. That's the wavelengths. And we are vibrations. We are wavelengths. That's all we are. We're just a ripple in the universe.
Agreed.
So what music are you playing? And that's coming from inside. Nobody can tell you. Nobody can argue with you. Nobody can tell you you're a blue elephant, right? Yeah. You are what you are, and only you feel it. It doesn't matter how you pretend. It doesn't matter what people think of you. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
All that matters is how you truly feel on the inside and what you're putting out.
Agreed. So my recommendation that has worked for me is meditation. Meditation and silence has brought me to a level of awareness where I can see my actions in any given moment. For the most part, still things slip by me on a regular basis, but it allows me a general look into where my mindset is right now and kind of where to go from there. So I want to thank you guys for being part of our podcast today. I hope that we gave you some nuggets that you can work with, and please feel free to reach out to us on any topics that you want us to talk about, ranging from anything that involves life.
Yeah, we just actually talked about the law of attraction in my lifestyle mindset habit program last night. It's something that I run for 8 weeks. I can do it individually or in a group, and it totally goes with this. Like, how do you think? What are you thinking in order to create the life, whether that's weight loss, whether that's weight gain, whether that's just having a sense of control or releasing the control of your life, of your health. And so I do hope this helps just spark your interest in creating the life that you desire.
Just the first step. See you next week.
A lot more to be done. Thanks, guys.